Now, effective communication with Phil Zeller, CEO, Dale Carnegie, Southwest Michigan.
So have you ever made the trek out to see the Hollywood sign? You know that big Hollywood sign out in Los Angeles, California, in the U.S.? Have you been out there? So I'm going to tell you right now, my friends, before you go out there, get a lay of the land, know where you're at. I'll tell you what, we parked at the Griffith Observatory, and I was there with my wife and my sister-in-law and my two kids, and we were out there, and we thought, hey, this is where it says to go see the Hollywood sign. So we parked out the Griffith Observatory. And for those of you that know where I'm talking about, you're thinking, okay, Phil, you must really love to hike. Because we got there, next thing you know, we're at the observatory, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, we're going to walk up the side of the hill. Maybe it's a mile, maybe it's a half mile, right? No, it turned out to be 2.7 miles in sweltering heat, and we were definitely not prepared for this hike. Sure, we had a bottle of water apiece, but that was gone about a mile and a half in, right? So we go the 2.7 miles, and we get to the Hollywood sign there, and we're typical tourists, right? We're taking all the pictures, doing the shots, and doing a little candid thing with the hands to make it look like, oh, look, it's between our two hands. And we're doing all that stuff. And my wife looks at me and she goes, I'm not excited about making that trek back. And I said, I tell you what, we'll go get the vehicle. Obviously, when we got close to Hollywood sign, we noticed there's a much shorter route to get there. And there was a gate right there. I said, why don't you and your sister park here and we'll meet you back here. It's going to be a little while, though, because we got to make that 2.7 mile trek back to get the vehicle and then find our way back to pick you up here. And she goes, that would be great. So we're making our trek back, and it was really a hot day out there in L.A., and we're walking back, and, we're just cruising along here, and all of a sudden my son puts his arm out for me and says, stop, back up, be quiet, just back up. And I look like, what are you doing putting your arm in front of me to slow me down? He's like, back up slowly. And all of a sudden, I look down at the ground, what he sees, and it is a huge rattlesnake right in the middle of the path. A rattlesnake, this huge rattlesnake. And it's moving ever so slowly across the path. And at the rate we're going, probably would have stepped right on it. My son wasn't so observant and stopped us. And so my daughter, my son, and we back up, and the snake goes on its way. And I said to my son, thank you for seeing that, because we weren't paying attention. We could have stepped on it, and that would have been a challenging day that had gotten much worse. And why do I share this story with my friends? For one, if you ever go to the Hollywood sign, you can park closer than the Griffith Observatory, okay? You can remember that if you ever travel out there. Park closer than the Griffith Observatory. Now, go to the observatory if you want to see it. It's cool. But you can park closer than that, get closer to the sign. That being said, Dale Carnegie said that rattlesnakes, what you do in that situation is you avoid it, right? That's what you would do, I would think. You'd back up, you'd avoid the rattlesnake. You wouldn't be near it. And you do that because you don't want to get bit by the rattlesnake, right? Well, Dale Carnegie found out that arguments are just like rattlesnakes. Go with me here. He said you should avoid them just like the rattlesnake because you don't want to get bit. So he said the only way to get the best from our argument is to avoid it. And what did he mean by that? Because that argument's like if we would have stepped on a rattlesnake, we could have got bit and it could have got a really bad day. And I tell you what, that rattlesnake would have done what it had to do, and it would have been it for that day, whatever it turned out to be. But by backing away from it, we avoided all of that situation from escalating and being a bad situation. But how many times do you do this every single day when somebody's talking with you or you're talking to somebody and somebody wants to argue with you? Do you look at it like a rattlesnake? Do you say, okay, I'm going to back away from this situation. There's no value in me arguing? Because think about this. An argument, there's no value in it. Because as Dale Carnegie said, you can't win an argument. You can't win it, he said, because if you lose it, you lose it. And if you win it, you still lose it to the other person because they're not going to be happy with you. And how much time do we waste in our life arguing or putting ourselves in a situation where we may get hurt or hurt somebody else? And when we step back and look at the value of that, what is the value in it? There is none. So, oh, look at you. You won the argument, so you feel good for a few minutes. Who cares? Who cares? Look at the bigger picture. You created so much waste of time for you and that other person Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you today is because we're in a political season this year, and as politics go, they're going to try to suck you into the argument. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for the argument. Don't fall into that situation where you think, you know what, I'm going to bite on this or I'm going to get bit. It's not worth it. Just like screwing with the rattlesnake. It's not worth it. Don't do it. So to get the best of an argument, avoid it. Instead, seek understanding. Ask them, tell me more about that. Why do you believe that? And where does this end up from here? And play it out with them. And if you choose to do this, what you'll see is you're not going to get bit. They're not going to get bit. You're going to stay healthy. You're going to stay happy. So avoid the argument, my friends. You got this. Now go make it happen.